Are you looking to do deals and master flipping houses? Welcome to the DoDeals Show with our host, Mr. Tim Mai. As a successful investor and mentor to many real estate investors, Tim's students consistently run 6- and 7-figure investing businesses. Each week, you'll hear from top real estate investors who share the best strategies, systems, and secrets that you can use to be more successful. Tim and his guests will pull back the curtain for you to learn their exact tactics, tricks, and tools that are working best right now in today's real estate market. Now, let's welcome Mr. Tim Mai.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to this interview. I'm really excited about this interview. I have my long-time good friend, Lee Arnold, on the line with us. Lee is a very successful real estate investor as well as a private money lender. He runs a couple of hedge funds, does a lot of rehab flips, amazing real estate investor. So, Lee, welcome, buddy.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to be here.
That's awesome. Lee, based on your experience, you've done so many different types of deals, different strategies, and everything. However, a lot of the listeners on this call love to hear about how they can find money for deals, right? Like money for deals is always one of the top, the top thing that people request for on our podcast. And so, Lee, take us back. Like how did you get started in real estate investing, and then even more specifically, how did you get into the private lending business?
So years ago, Tim, I've been doing this now 21 years. I was 18 years old. I was working at a grocery store. I was making $3.90 an hour, and I was putting myself through community college. And I saw an infomercial on TV, and it said, if you want to be rich and successful, come to this infomercial. Now we have podcasts and webinars, right? So I went to this seminar down at the DoubleTree Hotel, and I bought into this 3-day training program. And I went and sat through the seminar for 3 days, and I came out of there pumped up, super excited. Started doing all the things they told me to do: call the for sale by owner leads, call this person, call that person, which I did. Unfortunately, I was young and dumb enough not to ask the questions I should have been asking. And that question is, even if I find a deal, where in the world am I going to get the money? But I'm glad I didn't ask that question, because in my opinion, it's the one thing that's holding back every investor. So many of your listeners right now, Tim, are sitting there saying, well, Lee, I want to invest in real estate too, but I don't have any money. Well, sometimes that's a good thing, because I have found people with money invest very poorly, and those without money are forced to invest wisely, because they have to find deals that will attract people who have money to give it to them. So you got to find better deals. So I'm now 18 years old. I find this house, I put it under contract, and now I've got to go find the money. And so I'm asking everybody I know, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, sisters, cousins, you name it. Nobody would give me the money. So finally, I went to the grocery store, and I went to every perimeter department. I went to the store manager, Ken. I went to the bakery department, the deli department, the produce department. Finally, I made it all the way around to the perimeter of the store to the pharmacist. And I said to the pharmacist, I said, Brent, will you fund this deal for me? He looked at it and he goes, yeah, I'll lend you money. And just like that, boom, money. So he put up the money I needed to buy it. He put up the money I needed to fix it. 6 months later, I sold it and made a $29,000 profit. Now, I had agreed to split the profits with the moneylender, which was the wrong strategy. And a lot of your listeners are probably thinking, well, if I find a good deal and somebody with money, I'll just partner with them and we'll split the profit. As a hard money lender now, Tim, I can tell you that people tell me all the time, Lee, your rates are high. And I say, if you think my rates are high, try partnering where you give up half of your profit. That's crazy. But what I learned through this experience is that you do not need to have good credit. You don't need to have any cash. I don't care if you've been through bankruptcy, foreclosure. None of that stuff matters, because money is attracted to opportunity. So for your listeners, Tim, I would encourage them to write this down. Money is attracted to opportunity. And if people will spend more time looking for opportunity, the money will just be attracted to them. It's like a magnetic force where money just comes pouring in. So go find good deals. Now, your next question was, how did I become a money lender? Well, for me, Tim, I'm not a real smart guy. I'm a college dropout, a solid C student. So I'm a little slow on the uptake, but I understand simple math. And when I went to the closing table with Brent on my first deal, and he made like $12,500 on all of my work and effort, and I'm looking at his check and my check, and I'm going, I did all the work. Why did you get half of my money? He went, I'm the lender. And so from that moment forward, I aspired to be the lender. And that's my message for anybody who's investing in real estate. You need to be looking for what is the next plateau? Where am I going? What do I want to accomplish? And I believe that every lender should be working, or every real estate investor should be working towards lender status, because that's where it becomes truly passive income. And I don't buy into these myths about rental property being passive income. There's nothing passive about rental property. Truly, as a lender, it's very passive income.
Gotcha. And have you seen that to be a very sort of normal or even like popular migration transition for an investor, right? Start out, maybe doing some wholesaling or some flipping, get into buy and hold, and then get tired of that, become a private money lender. Like, I see that a lot. Do you see that a lot in your career as well?
Not as much as you would think, and I don't know why, because in my opinion, that's logical. I want to go from owning all this real estate and having 100 doors and 100 tenants to having $1 million, $2 million, $10 million in assets under management, where now I'm lending and deploying capital. But for whatever reason, Tim, the natural progression of most real estate investors is, I want to own, $100 million worth of real estate. I want to have 500 commercial properties and 1,000 tenants, and I want all this rental income. And to those people, I say, God bless you. I'll give you the money. All right. Because I have no desire to own any of those things. Because with ownership comes liability, comes management, comes oversight, comes insurance. Now, don't get me wrong. I own rental property. They're the properties I couldn't sell. Those are my rental properties. But I don't specifically target those, because I think that you're much safer in the lending space. But I'm still an active real estate investor. So figure that out, Tim. We will flip over 75 houses this year and make $1.5 million in net profit flipping real estate. So I'm not anti-real estate at all. I just think people need to look at, what am I truly trying to accomplish, and what do I really want my portfolio to contain? And it should have real estate holdings. It should have stocks, bonds, mutual funds. It should have 401k revenue. It should have self-directed IRA income. But there should be a segment for liquidity that's being lent, where daily interest is being earned at 9, 10, 11, 15, 20, 25% interest.
That's awesome. So let's talk about, funding in general, right? So, what are some of the funding options available out there for, especially a newbie investor? Could you go into that?
Newbie investors, in my opinion, are the desirable person in my world. The reason for that is, and most people that are coming into this business for the first time think that their lack of knowledge or lack of connectivity creates some type of a liability for them, or in some way puts them at the back of the class, which I completely disagree with. The reason for that is, there's a lot of bad information out there. And when we encounter seasoned investors that kind of have their own way of doing things, they usually don't conform or pay attention or listen to sound advice. So we struggle to help those people, because in their mind, Lee, I've got $1 million. Well, la-di-da, that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. Congratulations. But if you want our money, you got to do it this way. When we bring in new investors, Tim, and that's what I love working about you and what you're doing with these podcasts, you're attracting a lot of these people that are just looking, somebody guide me, show me. And I think it's awesome what you're doing, but they need that. And so we like to get them when they haven't been brainwashed with a lot of bad information so that we can show them step by step by step by step the process of how to make this real simple. Our goal for our customers is to generate $250,000 in liquid cash as quickly as possible. And the reason for that, Tim, as readily available as private money is, and as many hard money lenders as there are, for every new investor or even seasoned investor, as quickly as they can, they have got to get away from using private money lenders because it's expensive. My cost of capital starts at 1.9% interest. That's 10% for a year. $100,000 is going to cost them $10,000. Now, if they can utilize their own funds for that, that's an extra $10,000 profit per deal. Now, you and I have been around a long time. We've known each other for 10 plus years, I think. And we both understand the power of leverage. But I believe that leverage comes when you have liquidity. And now you have options as to how and when and where you utilize your own available liquidity and cash flow, where most people coming into this business are so over leveraged. They're just borrowing way too much money on bad deals, and they can never get out of that rat race of continually borrowing money from private money lenders. Now, I can tell you this, Tim, my board of directors for my private equity funds that I manage hate it when I say this.
I know, right? I'm like, what?
These are our customers. Don't tell them to stop using us. I can, in good conscience, advise or encourage people to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And my first goal as a new investor was to amass wealth and liquidity so that I could use my own cash to acquire. You've heard the adage, you can't steal in slow motion, right? So the best deals in real estate require the fastest movement. And if you can't move quickly because you're waiting on some rich person to make a decision or to say yes, you're going to miss out on those opportunities. However, getting there's a lot easier than people think. $250,000 net profit in real estate can literally be achieved within 90 days or less if they'll simply follow what I know you're teaching them, follow what we're teaching them. It's really quite simple if they'll just follow strong mentors like you.
Right. So I mean, you know what you just said just like contradicts what like everyone else out there teaching, so it kind of shocked me a little bit. But I do get what you're saying is like, hey, get started in the business, make money as soon as you can, right? Build up your liquidity so that way you have more options. You have the ability to go down to the auction, buy the properties right there, cash, right? So besides going through a private money lender or a hard money lender to get the deals funded in the beginning, what are other funding options available out there?
So the easiest, in my opinion, and oftentimes the most affordable is just getting the seller to carry the financing for you. So this works best on income property where the property in question has been a rental, whether it be a single family unit or a duplex or a triplex or a 12-unit apartment building. Those are the easiest types of deals to negotiate seller financing on because the owner of that asset is already used to and accustomed to installment income. So they're used to getting a check every month. They don't want this lump sum of $300,000. They want $3,000 a month coming in with consistency and regularity. So they're going to be more disposed to a seller finance strategy. So I encourage that first and foremost. Second best form of financing is to go to real estate investment workshops. Go to your local real estate investors club, because in every room, and this is where I really got heavily into the space, Tim, was back in 2009, is when the market was just crumbling all around us. I was still putting on real estate seminars as I have since 2002. But I had people coming into our rooms and saying, Lee, there's all these incredible deals out in the marketplace, but there's no money to finance them. And then I had people coming to me and saying, Lee, the stock market's tanking. I got all this cash and I don't know what to do with it. What should I do? And I went, why don't you two come together? And that's ultimately what started us in what is now Coco Capital, the nation's fastest and largest growing provider of private funding to investors nationwide, was through that process. But the thing your listeners need to know is you don't need me and you don't need our organization to do what I did. And that is simply go out and find good deals, go out and find people that have money and they need to do something with it. The most expensive money is idle money. Anybody that's got cash knows that, and they want to put it into an investment that's going to produce returns. So those dollars can be negotiated at 6, 7, 8% interest. Usually there's no skin in the game requirement from the borrower, so they don't have to have any cash to put down. And oftentimes the monthly payments can be deferred to when the loan actually closes. That's how I got started. It was not with, private money companies like mine. It was through individual private investors that had money, cash, 401k assets, self-directed IRA funds. And if you go to any real estate investor club around the country, there is a good 15 to 20% of that population that's sitting on at least $100,000 in cash. So if you'll simply just go ask them, I had staff at the Houston foreclosure auction on Tuesday of this week, Tim. 5,000 people in attendance. Yeah. I was like, he sent me a picture. I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy. But think of it. How many people were there to bid at an auction where you have to have all cash? I assume that probably 10% of the people there were actually players. All right. So that's 500 people with a minimum of $100,000 cash in their pocket. That's $50 million.
Wow. I never calculated that way. That's awesome.
Just go talk to people. Hey, I just saw you buy a house. You just spent $100,000. Do you have any more money you'd like to lend to me? That's really, truly the easiest and fastest way to get access to funding for people's deals.
That's super smart. Yeah. I wasn't there this past month, but I was there back in February a month ago, and it's so true. I got down there, and some of the people who are my active real estate investor friends or my private lenders, I saw a bunch of them down there. Like they go down there to hang out and buy properties, obviously. But right. Yeah, that is a great source. So I know you teach a lot about how to be a real estate investor, flip houses, and also, how to be a private money broker at the same time. So, which is, normally people teach to do one or the other. Why do you teach to do both?
Well, because I think that you need to be both. One of my favorite quotes, and I can't cite who said this, but I quote it all the time, and that is, don't leave your success in the hands of others. And when you are beholden to the person or the group or the broker that is identifying the cash sources to do your deals, if they die, you're out of business, right? If they go on vacation, your deal's going to get stalled. You have to have your own sources of capital that are a phone call away. I mean, literally. And most people never take the time to develop those relationships and to create that database or that sphere of influence where you literally can make a call and within an hour have $100,000 wired to your account. These are the types of relationships that people need to have if they're going to grow a sizable and significant real estate investment portfolio. Most people don't do that. They're so focused on the real estate acquisition side or the management of their tenants and toilets side that they never actually develop their own book of business on the finance, the capital side. So I felt like this was creating a huge liability to the investor community because they were now beholden to people like me to get them money. I said, I don't want to be the reason your business fails. I want to be the reason your business succeeds. So let me teach you guys what I've learned about being a private money broker. Because, Tim, right now, I literally can make a phone call and get access to billions and billions and billions of dollars because I've invested time to develop that network of people. And it's a lot easier than people think. That money is out there. They're marketing for you. And to be a private money broker where you source your own capital and you get paid to fund your own deals to me, that's just smart business.
That's awesome. So let's talk about some of I know let me recollect my thought here. I know before we started the recording, we talked about giving the listeners a $250,000 line of credit. So can you talk about that, and what can they do with that money?
You bet. So the reason, Tim, I wanted to offer your listeners a $250,000 line of credit is that continues to be the number one objection that all new investors have, which is, where am I going to get the money? Well, if I'll give them a $250,000 line of credit and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, people listening to Tim Mai's podcast, here's a $250,000. Go find a good deal. We've eliminated the money objection. And by eliminating the money objection, which literally is like this big red obvious ball that's blocking opportunity, hey, here's some money. Go find a deal. So for those that would like to have the $250,000 pre-approval letter, Tim, they can go to, we set up a special link just for your listeners. They can go to kogocapital.com/Tim Mai, and we will send to them within minutes a $250,000 pre-approval letter, which they now can take with them when they go and meet with real estate agents, when they go down and meet with for sale by owner opportunities. And they can literally say, look, I've got a $250,000. It's ready to go. Just accept my offer. Once the offer is accepted, then we would happily fund that deal for your audience.
That's awesome. All right, could you? I want to make sure we get the correct spelling for the website. So can you spell that for them?
Yes, it's Kogo, Charlie, Oscar, Go Oscar, COGO, capital, CAPITAL.com / and then Tim Mai, TIMMAI, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Thank you so much. Awesome. So, so Lee, by now I'm sure the listeners wants to, reach out to you, either learn from you, borrow money from you, invest from you. Is this where you want to send them, to kogocapital.com / Tim Mai, or is there anywhere else you'd like to send them?
No, that's really the best place for them to go, Tim. Because the bottom line is, until you have a piece of property under contract, I can't help you. And the worst thing that an investor, whether a new or a seasoned investor, can do is to go out and start looking for money before they have a deal. Okay? Because if you call my office today and you say, hey, Lee, I've got this great house over on Willow Street and it's worth $500 and I need $250 and I'm going to make a fortune, the first question my team is going to ask you is, do you have it under contract? Well, no, I wanted to make sure that I was qualified. You're qualified. I gave you $250,000. Write the offer, right? I can't do anything until you control the absolute right to purchase the property. Here's the other problem. If you don't write the offer and you come to me for financing, while you're talking to my office on the phone, some other investor is out there writing an offer on that deal. So you got to put it under contract. So Tim, through what you're teaching them, through the expertise you have in finding great deals, tying them up, writing contracts, wholesaling, those are all the things they need to learn from you before they come to me for the financing. But what they need to know is the financing's available. I got millions of dollars in liquid cash right now waiting. Somebody bring me a deal. But they really, that's the best place they can go.
That's awesome. All right, Lee, thank you so much, buddy. This is an amazing interview. I love your story. I love what you're doing out there, helping all the investors out there, providing them with like the biggest challenge to their real estate business, which is funding. And so thank you so much for your gift of that $250,000 lines of credit for them to go out there and do all the deals they want to do, right?
That's right. It's been my pleasure, Tim. Thank you for having me.
Cool. Thank you. All right, everybody, if you gotten value out of this, make sure you give us feedback, rate us, go get your line of credit. And with that, thank you so much for listening in, tuning into this interview, and happy investing. We'll see you on the next interview. All right, bye, everyone.
And that's our show for today. If you have any questions or would like to get further training from Tim Mai, please visit our website at www.dodeals.com/Tim.